Welcome. We'll let everybody roll in here. Again, Sunday Swings live show, January the 21st, another Sunday. Talking about training, baseball, softball, player development, just kind of some things that are going on in my world. We'll let everybody roll in. Again, if you're just watching the show for the first time, make sure you share the show, retweet the show. I don't even like to call it a show. We'll call it a whatever. And we'll get on tonight's topics. A couple things that are going on. I like to jump on here weekly and talk about what is happening in our training world. For those of you that don't know, that don't follow me, I train baseball players, softball players almost every day, 7 days a week. And so I like to get on here and talk about topics that we've talked about on Twitter all week. We've talked about in the facility, problems that we've had, issues that we've had, and just raising the general awareness, adding context to my social media. If you follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, some days I'm good at it, and other days I'm not, mostly not. But hopefully that if you follow me, you find value in this. Here's the truth. Velo gets you in the door. Speed and power get you in the door. I was talking to one of my guys today. He's got a fantastic opportunity. We were talking about that. Velo gets you in the door. Now, his opportunity, they want to see his breaking pitch. They want to see his pitchability, but he never gets the opportunity if he's not 90 to 92 and left-handed. He never gets that opportunity. So you can ignore that if you want and just say, velocity doesn't matter, or exit velocity doesn't matter, or speed doesn't matter. And no, it's not the be-all, end-all, but it does get you in the door, and it does help you level up. Whether you're a young player trying to make the middle school team, or you're a 10-year-old that's trying to make the travel ball team, or you're a JV player that's trying to make the varsity team, or you're a varsity player that is trying to be a starter, or you're, or whatever it is you're trying to do, speed and power, both arm speed, throwing velocity, exit velocity, and running speed, all get you in the door. They'll all keep you in the game. If you don't have those things, it's going to be really, really hard for you to stay around. Now, is that the be-all, end-all? No. Are there players that can be somewhat successful at lower points? Yes, but you don't get opportunities if you don't have those attributes. Yes, you got to be able to throw strikes. Yes, you got to be able to throw your breaker. Yes, you got to be able to have a changeup. Yes, you've got to be able to. Yes, you've got to be able to adapt to breaking pitches as a hitter. Yes, you've got to hit changeups. Yes, you've got to be able to hit with two strikes. You've got to do those things, but your opportunities will only come if you have the measurable, adequate skills. Yes, if you get into Harvard or Yale, yeah, you have to take the test. Yeah, you have to do the homework. Yeah, you have to do the work to get the degree. But you don't get into the school if you don't have 1,600 on the SAT. Baseball's the same way. Speed, power, velocity, they open the doors for you. You can choose to ignore that fact, or you can choose to figure that out and train accordingly. I just tweeted not too long ago that our process is reasonably simple. We try to get guys guys and girls to be stronger, to move better, and that's going to be part of the topic. Move better, using weighted implement training, whether it be weighted balls, weighted bats. Mechanical patterning is important. The best way to do that is through weighted implement, central nervous system development. I think one of the things we talked about last week, somebody asked, why are my swing pattern or my swing planes better on my diamond kinetic sensor now that I'm doing diamond weighted bat training? Well, your body's working more naturally, more efficiently to achieve the outcome, which is where we had our softball velocity development group in tonight, and we were talking about just not being bound up by mechanics. What I get a lot is kids that have been in lessons, kids that have been overcoached, kids that are just bound up by mechanics, and they can't let their bodies move freely, move explosively, move as fast as they can. We're going to certainly train them to move faster, but they're so bound up by the mechanics of trying to make them move that they're just not moving athletically. I think Florco tweeted that yesterday, and somebody responded to the tweet with Ryan Parker and said, the best advice that you can give to a young player is try to hit the ball hard as you can and try to move like an athlete, which makes training them to be better athletes really, really important. But you can't be bound up internally by movement mechanics. We try to build patterns. We try to passively improve patterns through different constraints, different environmental challenges, different weighted bats, different grips. I mean, just a lot of different things that force the player, the athlete, to have to adapt environmentally. If you can adapt environmentally and execute externally, then you can build a motor that's going to allow you to go build more velocity, throwing velocity, exit velocity. That's going to then get you in the door to prove your worth at the next level, whatever that is for you. People just assume the next level is college or professional. The next level could be the 12-year-old kid that's trying to make the middle school team. If you're the 12-year-old kid that's trying to make the middle school team, more velocity, more exit, more throwing velocity is going to help you do that. If you're the 12-year-old that's trying to transition to the big field, and you're trying to be successful at that level, more velocity is going to help you do that. If you're trying to be on the JV team, make the varsity team, great, velocity is going to help you do that. It's not the be-all, end-all. I know that. Like, I know you got to stick your shoes in the dirt and compete in an at-bat and execute an at-bat, but from a strictly a chances of success and training standpoint, velocity gets you in the door. I mean, you can choose to ignore that, or you can accept that matter and then train by measuring those things. Certainly, quality of movement is important. I get that. Video is important. Some knowledge of performance is important. Video feedback is important. I know those things, but with all the tools and all the technology that's out there, and this is kind of building on another tweet this week that I read, with all the free stuff that's out there. I mean, Driveline, free 8-week weighted ball program. I just released a free 8-week weighted bat program. There are lots of free resources out there that if you're not training, then you're just actively saying, no, I don't really want to play at the next level. I don't really want to level up. So, and that's fine, and that is okay. Like, I understand that our training is not for everyone. It's not for everyone. Everyone doesn't do it. We lose more clients because I refuse to play into their confirmation bias of, tell them what they want to hear or traditional whatever. No, my hair's not wet. The light is just on it, and it's kind of shiny, I guess. I don't know. But I refuse to do that. I believe that athletes should learn their own best swing. Certainly within some parameters of thank you, Chaz. Within some parameters of movement, certainly. I'm not completely against cueing, okay? I cue players within some parameters, place and a time, all driven by the intent to execute externally. There's some internal in there, I get it, but when it comes time to hit a moving ball, a round ball with a round bat, moving, then we want players, or throwing, we want players to move fluidly, loosely, naturally. And hopefully we've done the work to help them do that. Forced mechanics are the worst. Whatever it be, forced extension, forced acceleration, whatever. So a lot of the internal cues that we like, that I use, and maybe we've talked about this before, fall within the Jerry Brewer model of 80-20. 80% of swing time is in load, so a lot of the internal mechanics we talk about are through the load phase of the swing, whether it's gathering and storing energy in the rear leg and the rear hip, stabilizing the back arm so that the lower half and upper half, and I retweeted that from Rick Strickland this week. If you can't disassociate the upper and the lower bodies, then you can't transfer energy from the ground up efficiently. I don't relay that message to players, but ultimately in the internal cues that we give them, Like, those are the things we're trying to do. Externally, I say it 1,000 times a day, is just try to hit the ball hard. Just try to hit the ball hard. And even in that, even in throwing the ball hard and hitting the ball hard, we still get players and athletes that get bound up by trying to force movement and not move freely. I did a podcast this week with the Student of the Game, on the Student of the Game podcast, and he was talking about disassociating. I'll talk about that in just a minute. We were talking about Ido Portal, and Ido Portal is just this movement guru, and the body's natural ability to adapt in space and move freely. And, I think there's not enough focus on that. Creating environmental things that take away the need for more internal cueing. That's my challenge. Is like I see swing problems or swing issues, and I try to think about how I can create an environmental challenge to get the movement I want to get, versus telling the player, this is what I want you to do. Whether it be we're going to slightly overload the end again, or we're going to put them in this foot position with this loading position to try to get them to rotate better. It's just a constant environmental challenge to get the player to move in the way that I want them to move, so that I don't bound them up with mechanics, so they're not paralyzed by mechanical movements freely. We had a girl in our velocity a development program that we're developing tonight. She pulled down with an underload ball at 65 miles an hour, up from like 58. And she's got more in there because she's still somewhat bound up by her arm path and all these things that need to sequence naturally. It's like swing path and bat path. If we do the things that we need to do during the load phase, the bat path is 90% done. It's 90% done. There's about 10% left that maybe we have to maybe help pattern and cue, but if you load correctly and you hinge correctly and you store correctly and your back arm is good and you stabilize and disassociate, and the intent is to hit the ball hard in the air, by and large, if you use overload underload principles, the swing naturally will take its own shape, which is what we want. If we know anything from hitting Twitter or whatever, there's a lot of different ways to skin a cat. There's a lot of stuff out there that's really, really good. A lot of it's internal things that we're arguing about that may not be beneficial. Beneficial to whatever. Arguing semantics and things online just doesn't have a benefit. So just whatever environmental things whatever environment challenge we can have to help create the movements we want to create, to free the hitter of mechanical, consciousness. We don't want them to be conscious of this or that. It's just move freely. Try to move as freely as you can to execute the outcome. And so that is just a constant challenge. But again, it's back to the beginning argument. You've got to build an engine to go faster. I was telling the girls tonight, when you're running in, once you have the intent to throw, just try to move as fast as you can. Swinging is the same way. Once you get into your back hip and you move out, try to move as fast as you can. Like, try to rotate as fast as you can. The swing will happen. Now, will it get better in the beginning? Maybe not. Maybe your quality of contact goes down because you've never swung an intent like that. But in order one of our kids that started in June hit 97 tonight. And that's super awesome for him. Like, it's great. He's worked hard. He's gotten stronger. It's one of those older kids that he's worked and earned everything he's got. And it wasn't any kind of like miracle, magical solution. It was just, here are kind of the loading points and the parameters. Here's the focus I need you to have. Move freely and fast. We'll train on top. We'll build a better engine on top of that. Somebody asked about disassociation. Disassociation is the rotating of the bottom against the stabilization of the top. So if the bottom can rotate, and the bottom and the top don't rotate in the same way, the bottom rotates first, and the top then follows the bottom, then the rotational energy, it's kind of okay. So let's see here if I can. So we're gonna move our center of mass linearly, 6-8 inches, whatever. Okay, so linearly we're gonna move this way when we can stabilize the front leg, and then the pelvis starts to rotate. If you can stabilize the upper half, now you get this linear distraction, this massive amount of stretch through your torso and through your core that now releases in order. And you have to continue your torso rotating and your shoulders rotating to finish the kinetic chain and allow all the energy that you started stored in your back leg, and as you moved and stabilized your front leg, disassociation of your upper and lower just allows that distraction through your core and your center of mass to sequence and accelerate properly and out the barrel. So you get maximum amount of acceleration out the barrel. All you need to focus on to do that, you don't have to have a PhD to do that. You just stabilize your back arm and then allow yourself to move. What sorts of drill do you find help for improved timing, especially against high velo? So timing is an interesting thing because it's a lot of where our conversations go. Is you have to find your own timing mechanisms. What you have to do and what you have to be is you have to be up. Okay, whatever you're going to do, you have to be in the air. A lot of people say get down early. If you get down early, you've killed all any ability to be adaptable while the ball's in the air. If you're up and you can see the hunt and see the pitch from there, then you can. If you're up and ready to hit, like you have to be up and in your back, loaded into the ground in your back leg and ready to hit, so that now, as the pitch is coming out, all I'm doing is attacking the ball. Like I'm not letting the ball, I'm not hanging back, or I'm not still loading and gathering as the ball's coming out. I've loaded and gathered. I've kind of stabilized my back arm. I'm ready to move and hunt the pitch. And I think understanding that and how that's going to work for a player is the only way that you can really help them, because timing is a really tough thing to communicate, because there's definitely not a one size fits all answer. There's not. There's just you have to try to understand what your timing mechanism is going to be, how you're going to get into your back hip, how you're going to move linearly to try to hunt and attack the pitch, and then what kind of adaptation, foot in the air, hang and hover your foot in the air. I like foot in the air. I'm a leg kicker guy. I like leg kicks, but I don't force a leg kick on everyone. I just think if you can get your foot in the air and you can have good front leg variability, you got to be able to vary your front leg to when it goes down, because that's timing. Like you got to be able to, the intent to hit the ball, get your front leg down, so I'm not worried about slamming my front leg down. I'm just worried about getting into my back hip and moving, and then the intent to hit the ball is what's going to set my front leg down. That allows you to have variability in timing. I think a lot of hitting high velo is, I don't know why they do that, especially those who used to be in the game. Like I used to be in the game. Like I was drafted. I played professional baseball. Like I don't know. Frankly, I don't care. Like I'm here to talk to you. I'm here to share information to you. Like I don't care what those people think. I don't. It's not relevant to me or anyone. There was another question. Somebody else had a question. Ask it again. If I missed the question you ask it again. I hope that answers the question about disassociation, upper and lower. I call it disconnect. It makes a little more sense if you think about lower and upper disconnecting. Like if I can disconnect the rotation of the lower and just slightly enough to the rotation of the upper, then I get that. Who runs the strength? I do. I write all the strength programs in our facility. It's not rocket science. Launch angle. Honestly, launch angle is just intent and weighted bats. We get more consistent hard contact at better launch angles if we focus externally in the right way, and we do the weighted bat programming to help build patterns, to help build and refine swing patterns. So, in the disassociation question, just you have to stabilize the back arm with the posterior part of the shoulder, the muscles that surround the scap. Stabilize the muscles that surround the scap, that hold the shoulder, that hold the upper part of the arm, and then just think about rotating as fast as you can. If you get really good at rotating, then you're going to hit balls really, really hard. That's why med ball training is really, really important. Weighted bat training is really, really important. It just helps you rotate better. I have a pitcher. We have an independent league pitcher that hits the ball 106 miles an hour. And he's not a hitter. He just rotates really well. If you can, that doesn't mean he can hit in a game, because he can't. He's a pitcher. He's not very athletic. His movement quality is not great. But if in BP he can hit the ball 106 miles an hour because he rotates really well. I'm sure if he had time, we would have to build challenging environments to help his adaptability and all these other things. But he can rotate really well, and so he rotates really well and he hits balls hard. What are some must-have implements you use daily? We use the balance pads a lot for central nervous system activation and reinforcement. We use the backspin. I think the backspin tee is honestly a constraint in an implement because it freaks people out to get up underneath that thing. It does, and kids don't like it. And if they don't like it, I love it because it's challenging to them. Players want to drift towards comfort, and if I can find things that make them uncomfortable, then that's where we're going to go. Because I think challenging environments, especially in training atmospheres, if you're constantly needing like easier practice, then you're not going to be very good. What is crucial? Hip mobility or hip stability? Both. You have to be able to have the ability to move your joints. For instance, when you move linearly, your back leg is gonna externally rotate and stretch in the hip socket. So the more external rotation you can create, the more you're going to take advantage of your stretch shortening cycle, and the more speed and acceleration you're going to be able to produce in the hip joint. Your front leg stability is really, really important because your body's only going to allow you to accelerate what you can decelerate. So better stability is going to help you decelerate better. If you can accelerate and decelerate, then you're going to be able to produce massive amounts of speed. That's in throwing and hitting too, because it's both rotational. There's more linear. There's a more forceful linear move in pitching, but you still move linearly in hitting. You just have to move it and stabilize. Both your hips have to be able to move and stabilize. When you first decide to learn about hitting, where Hunter Bledsoe, I said that before. Hunter is the first guy who I started playing around with sensors and seeing like that I had huge holes in what I was trying to teach and do. One being, we can't duplicate swing planes. Like none of my guys can duplicate swing planes. There's got to be something to this. And so we started trying to figure that out, and then Hunter Bledsoe came in the building one day and spent 4 hours, and I'm like, yeah, this guy knows a lot. And so through him, I started to explore information and understand kinetic sequence, and there was a lot of body movement stuff I didn't really know and understand. And then I've been fortunate to have been around Hunter probably 4, 5, 6 more times and spent hours around Hunter, and he just always, every time I see him, the Ido Portal came, my fascination with and curiosity with Ido Portal came from Hunter. Hunter Bledsoe has been a big influence on me and what I do. Bledsoe Brothers on Twitter. He doesn't have a lot of hitting content out there, which is unfortunate because he's really, really, really good. Maybe that's smart on his behalf not to be on Twitter, to be honest. But he's really, really good. I mean, he thinks way outside the box, which is awesome. Have you read Hacking the Kinetic Chain? I've probably read Hacking the Kinetic Chain no less than 20 times. Yes, I think Hacking the Kinetic Chain is fantastic. I think Driveline's work is fantastic. There's so much carryover in rotational mechanics that are in Hacking the Kinetic Chain. That linear distraction is a Driveline term. Linear distraction is relevant in hitting too. Hacking the Kinetic Chain is really, really good in learning about the kinetic chain and the kinetic sequence. It's a pitching-based book, but it's a rotational. It's just rotational patterns and rotational mechanics. It's really, really, really good. There's a lot of golf stuff out there. Use Google. Use Google. If you read my feed and there's stuff on there you don't know about, just Google it, because Google is so. In case you didn't know this, Google's really, really good. A lot of the things that I come across daily, it's just I see things and I Google them and then I start digging down a rabbit hole. And, a lot of it's in Dustin Lynn's Google Drive. A lot of it's on Google. I mean, there are things that I tweet about that I don't have. They're certainly not original ideas, but I can't remember where they came from, so I just tweet about them. A lot of the stuff that I tweet is not original. My numbers and training are original. It's all stuff that we've taken and built on our own, and we do our own measurable feedback, so that's good, but a lot of the ideas and concept, I mean, there's nothing new. I mean, if you read Kyle Bodie's Twitter from yesterday, I mean, all this stuff, that semantics that get argued over on Twitter, none of it's new ideas. It's all been around for a while. It's just we're regurgitating the same arguments, which is tired. I'm just a data guy. If you can accelerate the barrel arrive on plane, hit nukes. I don't care if you do it off one leg, two legs, no legs, knees, whatever. Like, hit the ball hard. If you can do that consistently, then go. So I think ground forces were. Are there any articles in Dustin's Drive that stand out to you or must read? So if you want articles, there's a lot of studies and stuff that are in Dustin's Drive. If you want articles, read Jerry Brewer's website. Dustin has written on Jerry Brewer's website. If you want articles, read Jerry Brewer's website. A lot of the stuff that's on my website is sourced from. If you want to hit fastballs better, hit more fastballs. Like, plug the machine in, shoot fastballs out 85 and hit them. If you want to work on your swing patterns, then get weighted bats and do overload training. If you want to, it's really, there's not a black and white way. There's just not. There's ways that work for people and there's ways that won't work for people. I try to be as engaging in conversation as I can be. I like to train players. I like to train players who are interested in having the conversation. But otherwise, I'm not interested in just black and white, no engagement. Are there any other questions? Concerns or regards? Somebody said they couldn't hear me. I don't know. Can you hear me? All right. Well, if there are no other questions, then I'm going to get out of here. Again, my name is Chad Longworth, Sunday Swings Live. I'm C Long Baseball on Instagram. I am C Long Baseball on Snapchat. If you're not there, follow me. Free 8-week training program on my website. You can get it. We have weighted bats there from McCoy Bats if you want them. The Velo Lab online program has all of our progressive weighted bat, our drill library, instructional videos, weighted bat programs. Our in-house weightlifting programs are there. Our in-house weighted ball programs are there. There's updates going in there. There's more instructional videos going in there. There's lots of content about our in-house training in the Velo Lab online. It's $129.99 for a year. It's $19.99 a month or $39.99 for